Hey guys, I wanted to give you just a quick review of the two grain mills that I've been using for a couple years now. I got into grinding my own grains during the COVID lockdowns. Did some research, found out that fresh milled wheat has a lot more nutrients and fiber and just good stuff in it that I felt we needed to add to our diets in our household. So my friend Jennifer loaned me her Nutrimill grain mill. It was sitting in her closet. She wasn't currently using it. And after having a discussion about a health journey that both of us were on, she let me borrow her Nutrimill to see what I thought, grinding my own flour and seeing, how that affected taste, nutrients, and how we felt while doing it. I loved it. I love this grain mill. It's a fantastic grain mill. It has a huge basin, a huge hopper for you to be able to put lots of grains in. This also grinds very quickly. There's a big reservoir for when you get everything out of it. There are just a lot of good things about this. When I went to go purchase one, not only were they having a sale at the time, but my Mockmill gives me a little bit more flexibility, a little more customization. Yes, it still has a nice big hopper at the top. The chute comes out here. You can use whatever bowl you want, so it doesn't have a built-in reservoir, but you can put it into and grind it into a large bowl or small bowl, whichever you're working with. Both of these mills have the option of having a coarse and a fine grind. This one is limited to what is on that knob, the coarse and fine grind. This one is limitless with the Mockmill. I can get it really fine, and sometimes I'll even do a double grind with this one to get it as small as I really do want it. But you can also make it as big as you want it. So for instance, when I'm grinding my yellow grits, my cornmeal, I put my corn in here, and because it's very hard, it's a very large grain, I can make it really coarse to get it through the first rotation of grinding, and then I can put it in the hopper again to make it however fine I may want it. I have never tried to do a double grind in the Nutrimill. I haven't really had to necessarily. Um, when I'm grinding a lot, when I want to put a lot of product through, if I'm going to be doing a lot of baking, I'll grab this one because this is very fast. It gets things done quickly. This one is the one that I use the most. This is pretty much a daily use for me when I'm doing my seasons of intense baking and what have you. The only downfall that I have found with this one is when you turn on this Nutrimill, and this is the Nutrimill Classic, so yes, it is a little older, but this sounds like a jet engine turning on. I cannot use this one. I choose not to use this one if my people are still sleeping. If I'm up at 4 a.m. and wanting to do any baking, this is not the grinder that I go for. This mill is much quieter. Yes, it's going to make some noise. It's not silent. This does grind and whir and make some noise, but this is easily done while there are people still sleeping when I'm up at 4 a.m. and I want to get going on a baking project. All right, so let me show you real quickly what each of them look like when they're working. These are the grains that I work with the most when I'm doing my home milling, okay? I have a soft white, and soft white is good for your biscuits and your cookies and anything light that you want to be baking with. It has a very low protein content, so not so much gluten. This is hard red wheat. I love the taste of hard red wheat in anything bread related. This is definitely my go-to. I keep lots of this on hand every time I'm going to be baking. Okay. This is rye. The rye is a delightful taste. It's fantastic in breads. It's fantastic for Reubens especially. But I don't do this one quite as much. I will tell you that when I am creating a sourdough starter, or I need to feed it and bring a sourdough starter to more active life, this is the wheat that I use. And this, of course, is corn, because we love grits around here. So I grind cornmeal every couple weeks. It really is delicious and tasty, but you'll notice how big that is. The other things that I have ground on a regular basis are rice, and I have ground oat flour to make a few gluten-free options for friends. For the Mockmill, you want this to be running before you put your grains in. So I flip it on, and today I just want it to be ready for bread or anything that I'm going to be baking later on today. You adjust it to just when you can feel the stones and hear the stones touching each other. Climb off that so that you don't hear any of that sound. And we just dump your grain right in the top. And it grinds down into your bucket. Okay, it's all ground and ready to go. Get everything out of the grinder. I will go ahead and run this through a colander that has smaller holes, just to get anything out of the wheat that I do not want in my baked goods. You can also get a number 40 fine mesh strainer, and that will sift you out all of the bran and all the chunkies that are fantastic for fiber, but you may not want those in some of your finer rolls or things like that. So anyway, there is the Mockmill. Now let's show you what the Nutrimill does. Okay, for the Nutrimill, I'm just going to run a little bit of the hard red through it. For the Nutrimill, you put your grains in. You want to make sure that it's down towards where the feed is. Okay, I want it to be running on high. And now with this turned on, with it plugged in, you basically will turn the knob, and as soon as you start to see the grain moving, you have it open in the way that you want it opened. Okay? But you'll see, this sounds like a jet engine. So down in here is where the flour is. You definitely need to have the filter in place. And once we open this up inside, you'll see that there's actually an exhaust, a grinding flour exhaust can here. You can use this flour. It is here to keep the engine and the motor from getting dust laden. So there you have it. Okay, that's what it looks like for inside this one. You can see the bran, you can see the ground flour. You can sift this if you want to make sure there's no shell or anything twig-like or goofy that you do not want in your baked goods. A trick with this one is when you first buy this is going to be sealed so tight you're not going to be able to do the rotating whatever. If you rub a little bit of olive oil all around this seal, you'll be able to rotate that and take it on and off easily. But if you see how big that flour basin is, you can grind a lot of grain using the Nutrimill. It's just really loud. Okay, for grinding your own cornmeal, what you're going to need to do is this size button here. You actually unscrew it, and then I'm going to twice bring that as coarse and big as I can make it because I want this to just get into a big grind first. I'm going to double grind this to where I want it. But corn is so solid and hard that, and so big that it needs a double grind to get through this whole process faster. All right, now that the first grind is done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to now tighten, go the opposite direction. Oh, there's still something there. There we go. I can hear the stones touching each other there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hear that. I'm going to take it back one step. And now it's time to double grind the corn so that it's the right consistency for cornbread and grits. If you're going to grind corn into cornmeal or grits, you always, with this grain especially, you want to sift. And I'll show you why. This is the leftover hull, the hard outer shell on a corn kernel. And you just do not want that in your grits. You don't want that in your anything. Right, and there you have it. The Mockmill and the Nutrimill, both fantastic grinders. Wheat mills, I like them both very, very much. These are a little bit more economical. These are a little bit more versatile, just from my personal use, what I've done. If budget is really an issue, this will do you just fine. But if you can't afford it, this one has a lot more versatility for all of the grinding that you may want to do. Right? So anyway, thanks for watching, y'all. Have a good one.